Hello and welcome to this IHSA presentation on completing foreign exchange student eligibility requests. This presentation is designed to give school administrators some tips in navigating this process. By the end of the presentation, it is our hope that the following objectives will be met. School administrators will know how to find the reason for an initial denial of eligibility. School administrators will be able to recognize the requirements that foreign exchange students need to meet in order to have eligibility. School administrators will understand when the school may need to provide additional forms on foreign exchange students. And school administrators will know how to appeal an eligibility ruling on a foreign exchange student. In general, IHSA bylaws would require foreign exchange students to meet the same eligibility requirements as any other student at a member school. On this slide we see a series of bullet points that reinforce those kinds of eligibility requirements. The one exception provided for foreign exchange students in the IHSA bylaws is a waiver from the association's residence rule. And the exception occurs assuming foreign exchange students are a part of an association-approved foreign exchange program. The list of those programs each year can be found on the association's website. But the residence rule, again, is the only bylaw that foreign exchange students are not required to meet as it relates to possible athletic and activity eligibility. To help schools then request a ruling, the IHSA has developed a worksheet that schools can complete through conversation with foreign exchange students. And the eligibility worksheet is designed to flush out a lot of those eligibility requirements that we saw on the last slide. It is strongly recommended that any time a school is preparing to request a ruling on a foreign exchange student, that after completing the worksheet, a school administrator review those results, paying particular attention to some of those questions and requirements that we saw previously. If any of those requirements don't seem to be met, that should be a red flag, and the administration should have follow-up conversation with the student or the student's host family to try and verify whether the initial information provided the school is correct or not. However, once a school goes into the IHSA School Center and submits a foreign exchange eligibility request, and a ruling is then made by the IHSA office, a school can then no longer go in and edit the information on a student. In a second, we're going to show you how to access an eligibility ruling, but if a ruling comes back and a student is denied their eligibility and a school wishes to appeal that, what the school needs to do is submit in writing an email to Kurt Gibson, and you see the email address here on this slide, that explains what additional information the school might have that could be considered for a review of the initial ruling. After emailing the association, the IHSA has the ability to go back into its database and revise a ruling, making students who had previously been ineligible eligible. Generally, the only form that a school is going to have to submit to get an eligibility ruling is the online request form that can be found in the school center. However, in a couple of unique situations, additional forms may be requested. And the two situations that occasionally occur that require additional documents to be sent to the IHSA office occur when a double placement occurs And a double placement is a situation where one family will be hosting 2 students, or if a school accepts more than 5 students in a given year, a form may be requested of the school just to confirm that they agreed to that number of placements for a given school year. But absent one of those 2 situations being at play, the only form a school will need to submit is the online eligibility form. So let's just very briefly walk through how a school can access a foreign exchange student eligibility ruling. The first step would be after submitting the request form to the IHSA, and after a day or 2 period, the school could go back into the school center, logging in as they normally would, and selecting the E button for eligibility requests and rulings. They'll then be taken to this page, and this would be the page where the school would have previously gone to pull up the worksheet and pulled up the online form to request a ruling. But it's on this form, after submitting a ruling, a school will be able to find out whether a student was approved or denied based on that initial request. If the last column, as we see on this screen, in the student's row, the last column in the student's row says denied, and that's what we're showing down in the red circle in the bottom right hand corner of the screenshot, then a school needs to simply click on the edit button, which is located in the first column, as we see here on this slide. And that's encircled by the blue oval. If a school then clicks on edit, they'll be taken to this screen, which would show the reason why the student was denied eligibility. At this point then, a school would be able to not only see the specific reason for the eligibility denial, but then they could go back, look through the worksheet, talk with the student, talk with the host family, and if they believe they've submitted something in error, the school would simply write an email to Kurt Gibson at the email address listed on this slide, and then the IHSA would have the ability to go back in, review the additional information submitted by the school, and change the ruling as the situation would warrant. So just as a couple of final thoughts and reminders, foreign exchange students need to meet the same eligibility requirements as any other student at a member school. It is strongly recommended that before an eligibility request on a foreign exchange student is submitted, that a school administrator review the material that's about to be submitted. Many times, an administrator will be able to identify some red flags and work through the request on the front end instead of having it submitted and having a student be initially denied their eligibility. After a request has been submitted, a school could check back after a day or 2 and access what the ruling was on the student, and if they have questions, they can click on the little edit button next to the student's name to access a specific reason in the event a student was denied eligibility, and then if additional materials need to be submitted, they would send those to Kurt Gibson at the email address listed here on this slide. Thanks for taking time to view this presentation. We hope it helps you as you work through the process to have an eligibility ruling obtained on a foreign exchange student. Thank you.